What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Out of the Basement. I'm Nate, joined with Justin.
What's up, guys?
And Steven.
Howdy.
And today we are doing our review of The Witch.
Let us leave the wood.
This is, of course, part of our series where we revisit films before a sequel comes out or something from a director, their next project releases. So we are super excited for the upcoming Lighthouse, the new A24 horror film.
What?
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 What? What? What?
How long have we been in this basement? 5 weeks? 2 days?
Beans!
So we thought we would revisit director Robert Eggers' original masterpiece. And I'll say it right out of the gate, it is a masterpiece, The Witch. So we're going to see how it holds up 4 years later. Of course, if you have not seen the movie, we will be going into spoilers. So definitely, I'll say it right out of the gate, this is one of Out of the Basement's favorite movies of all time. And we definitely highly recommend it. But we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about why it's so good.
Of course.
So let's start out with probably one of my favorite things in the movie is the cinematography and the natural lighting of the movie.
Right. The cinematography, the imagery, the location that they chose, just like the spookiest woods ever. I don't know how the woods look so scary in this
Robert
movie.
Eggers told the crew, find me the scariest woods in existence.
But they are like, the woods are like thick and it definitely...
There's a lot of black.
Yeah, a lot of darkness.
Shadowy.
It's like, it's like there's not a lot of sunlight coming through the tops of the trees. It's very dark. The whole movie is very dark because of the way it is shot and lit.
Yeah.
Like we said, only using natural lighting and candles.
And like, it must have just always been cloudy too. I feel like the sun is never actually out.
I feel like that was intentional though.
Right.
So
gloomy.
On top of that, they're shooting like overcast days.
Yeah.
With no additional lighting.
And I would just say that it is a beautiful yet extremely horrifying depiction of Puritan society. And what I basically mean by that is that it is super accurate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sense of isolation. And when we were rewatching it just now, we were just talking about like how horrible would it be to live during this time period. 1630, you said it takes place?
Yeah.
We just said literally right before we started recording that everything in this movie could have happened exactly the same and there not have been a supernatural element
like
at all.
Minus the supernatural elements and just the thought of like the Salem witch trials and religious paranoia was a very real thing where you just word of mouth, someone gets hanged.
Yeah. And
so very scary just being in that society in general.
And talking about the accuracy, the costumes, the set design, everything like that is so perfect that even historians have praised the accuracy of the film, which I feel like is something that can very easily take me out of a movie, is if it's a period piece and I see something that looks a little too like costumey or a little too like, you know,
a water bottle.
Yeah, or a Starbucks cup. I feel like the costumes really do look very accurate, and they actually look like clothing. They don't really look like a costume or anything like that.
Yeah.
And it's dirty.
Yeah. And bouncing back to how it would suck to live in that society, like it would already suck to like live within a compound of people, like how they live. And it would be even worse to then remove yourself from that and try and make it out on your own. Which in the movie, the father says that they move a day's horse ride away from the village that they're exiled from. And that's just insane.
Yeah,
It's
and then,
extremely dangerous.
yeah, adding to the horror, not even having to do with any of the paranormal witch stuff, is in that time period, it's accurately represented that religion is taken like super literal and just 100% like in context of what is written in the Holy Scripture. So William is literally willing to move away in the wilderness just because of his religious beliefs and his pride.
Yeah, I mean, he doubles down on it later when he picks up his son like that. He's like, I'll fucking kill him. Just like, what's his face? That guy. Abraham?
Yeah. Yeah, because he says that...
Cain and Abel?
He would do it like Abraham would do his own son.
Yeah.
You know,
Abraham
Bible stuff.
Abraham basically, I'm pretty sure the story goes he killed his own son because, like, you're supposed to do whatever God tells you.
I thought he was, like, about to. And the guy was like, oh, nah, you're good. Don't do it.
I don't remember, but that is so great to have that scary just by itself, even without the witch or any of the paranormal stuff. It's already terrifying.
Yeah.
So I think when you add in the entities of the witch and Black Phillip, which is done excellently well in terms of, like, yeah, it's paranormal, but it's not like, boo!
Yeah.
So
there's
think
no,
that
like,
makes it...
possessions to, you know, if people are contorting and vomiting. And
it's not the possession of Hannah Grace.
Sure.
Yeah.
I saw that movie.
Just possession of...
Blank.
Insert whatever you feel.
But I think those elements makes it twice as horrifying than it would be.
And the movie wastes no time jumping into the actual plot and spooky stuff. Like right out of the gate in this movie, you've got baby murder.
Yeah.
And not only baby murder, you see that baby get turned into goop.
Into fine jelly. And homemade jelly.
And that scene just at the beginning, you're thinking like, oh, the baby's gonna get kidnapped. They'll probably find it, and like something will be different about it. Nope. They just smash that baby up into goop.
So it's very good that they established the tone just right off the bat, and like the movie flies by.
It's been a while since I watched it. I think this is either my second or third viewing. I think it's my third, but it had been a while, and I forgot how they really do just.
Yeah,
Philly D jump right into it.
It's like not even 5 minutes into the runtime.
Yeah, they're just like first scene. All right, fuck you, we're leaving. Oh, okay, they're gone.
And obviously, I don't think we said this, but kind of going back to accuracy, the way they talk, is super super accurate. Like
it seems natural too. You never see like a moment where like, oh, they're acting.
Where they're like, does mother know doth? Like
it seems
it's never exaggerated.
Yeah, it's so well acted. Everybody in this movie gives an excellent performance.
Which special shout out,
and a lot of them are kids. Yeah, most of the cast are kids.
To Jonas and Mercy and Caleb, they're all very young.
Yeah,
and they're delivering these incredible performances and speaking that like old English dialogue so perfect. It sounds so natural.
Which, granted, I think they all are English in real life, but obviously modern English people do not talk like they did in the 1600s.
It's still something to wrap your head around and to like make it sound so like natural.
Yeah.
And the kids in general in the movie, and of course Anya Taylor-Joy as Thomasin is also amazing.
I think she's, despite the fact that she is like half British, she doesn't have an English accent. I think she more so has an American accent.
I honestly don't think I've ever heard her like real voice.
Yeah, it's like I remember like we watched the special feature before we watched the movie, and she's like talking, and I was like, is she talking with an accent or not? I can't tell. Like there's like some subtle hints of English pronunciation.
It might be one of those cases of like one parent is American, the other is British.
Yeah, there's like a hint in there. I was like, that's when I Googled it. And I was like, oh, she's like a bunch of different things. But yeah, but for the most part, she sounds American.
But still,
there you go.
It's wonderful how well everything is portrayed in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the adults also give really great performances too. The actor that plays William, who's also in Game of Thrones and Ready Player One. And Catherine, who's also in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
But she's a much bigger part of Game of Thrones.
Right.
Their acting is great too, and their relationship is something so like tense. Like no matter what in the movie, it's tense, especially as the audience, because you know that William is just lying and he's just digging himself a hole, but he doesn't care because he's like, I don't want to catch any of this shit.
But at the same time, I feel like I do sympathize with his character because he's just trying and trying and trying and trying, and then everything just goes wrong and goes wrong. The crops are rotting. One baby's already gone. Then Caleb's gone. He's like losing his children.
Yeah.
And he's like trying to...
But he's justifying it every step of the way. And he's so dogmatic. And like he's so devout to
he has
his
the narrow...
religion. He doesn't give a shit that his kids are dying and they're going to die through the winter because they don't have enough food.
He has the narrow dogmatic view of the Jedi.
So yeah, all around, the acting is fantastic. No real complaints there. Of course, some people might find this movie hard to understand, but personally...
Subtitles really help, I think, in this one.
Subtitles do really help, but when I saw this movie in theaters, I didn't really find myself all that confused to begin with. And obviously not everyone's going to have that experience.
And then it's also a very... We kind of touched on this earlier, but it's a very minimalistic film. There is a witch. There is a devil in the form of Black Phillip, and I believe the bunny.
It's no, it comes at night where nothing even came at night.
Right. Even the scenes that do involve the witch or Black Phillip are still very minimalistically creepy in their own way. Like even the shot of the bunny just nibbling and like staring at them.
Wrinkling his nose.
Yeah. Creepy. The scene where Caleb is seduced by like the younger version of the witch and then the old hand comes back.
Yeah.
It's like you don't need some big boom boom jump scare to have it incredibly terrifying. I think one of the most terrifying shots in this film is when the baby is first taken, and then it's just like that shot of the woods and you hear like a twig snap or
and
you see like a bush shaking a little. It's like, ugh.
Yeah. And not to say that there aren't plenty of outright scary moments too. I think there are.
There are, but there's no like big sound cue like boom, like the cue. Like
the sound design's very low key.
There's
like the scene where the witch like stops sucking on the blood and she like turns around and laughs. Like that's a terrifying scene.
She lets her Joker side out.
Yeah.
Oh,
there's no like audio gets really silent.
Right.
Boo! There's none of that, and I love that. I love when a movie can be scary and not have to rely on jump scares. This movie relies on atmosphere.
Yeah, atmosphere.
A lot. The music. I feel like a lot of the music, it's not like a Sting kind of scary, but it's scary music, like the chanting. And even just like some of the normal like violin.
Whenever I see on the subtitles parentheses choir vocalizing, I know I'm in for a... It doesn't matter if it's 2001, The Witch. Candyman has a lot of good choir vocalizations. That scares me.
Yeah.
Something about people going...
But especially in The Witch when they're like, it's like they're chanting something. You don't know what it is. You can't understand
you're talking
it
about
is.
the final sequence.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's the scariest part for me is I mean, yeah, they're gathered around the campfire and they're twirling around and dancing and chanting, but the part that really gets me is when she walks up and then they start levitating. I'm like, oh, I don't know what it is about like levitation to me is fucking scary. I don't know why. not like the the possession of movies where like they float up and they turn around and their body makes like an upside down crowd. I'm like, no, that's corny. That's cheesy. That doesn't scare me. What? Or like they're like flying at you, like the ghost down the hallway, and they start running really fast at you.
When they're
that doesn't get
they're
me.
clearly on a rig because they're like straight, like if you move you might fall and hurt yourself in real life.
Yeah, and then in the I think it's the trailer of Midsummer, you see like there's a close-up of somebody's feet that like leaves the ground, and I'm like, I saw that, I was like, oh, I don't know, it's just that kind of levitation. It gets me every time. I don't know why.
Yeah,
but I mean that is a very terrifying part of the film.
Yeah, it is the climax.
Yeah,
I think another great thing is that a lot of the themes of this film bounce off and complement later sequences. For example, like there's a theme of puberty and like a desire to be like sexually active with Caleb, who starts taking a little peep at his sister's breasts. You would think that's kind of just random, but then later in the film when he's like seduced by the younger version of the witch, that's how it like ties into that. And then I wrote some other ones down. The themes of puberty, isolation, grief, of course, colonialism, and then homesickness. They do they all at some point are like homesick for going back to England.
Yeah.
They talk about like the windows and there is like some mild symbolism. It's not like symbolism heavy, but we're when we watched it, we pointed out when they're leaving the community and there's like 2 or 3 Native Americans that are walking into the compound, but they're going out and then the door's shut. But yeah, there's stuff like that sprinkled throughout, but it's not too symbolism heavy, although there is some. I noticed the last time I watched this on 4K, I saw the boom in one of the shots, but I did not notice that throughout this one.
I didn't notice
this viewing.
I've never seen the boom.
The boom is in there somewhere.
Interesting. Very interesting. And yeah, we kind of already touched on the fantastic score.
Right.
So really, it's kind of hard to find anything that's bad about this movie.
Right.
I think it's all around genuinely a pretty great time.
Yeah, I think the paranoia side is probably my favorite aspect. I think my favorite sequence is when William just doesn't know who to believe. Like,
Yeah.
at first he believes the 2 younger kids, and then he believes Thomason, and then he just like doesn't know who to believe, so he just locks everyone up.
Yep.
He's like, I don't know who's the witch here. You're
like,
all going to jail.
I got a solution. Lock them up.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole final act of the movie is just such a good payoff. Like I don't think that the movie is like a slow burn or anything like that. I think there's plenty of moments throughout the film that keep you engaged, but specifically at the end, like you've got Thomason waking up after the horrific witch scene. The goats are dead. Black Phillip's out. William's like he's like kind of groggy when he's waking up. Like it almost reminds me in a way like it's like he's waking up and he's like almost imagining like it's a nightmare, and like none of it actually happened because he doesn't really like notice Catherine with her after her breast was pecked by the bird,
by the raven,
and like he's just kind of like seems a little out of it, and he's walking out of the cabin, and then he's instantly realizes like no, like
I'm right back into it.
Like bad stuff really did happen.
Yeah.
And the fight between Thomason and her mom and Black Phillip and William, it's just so good.
And like the super suspenseful, like creepy when Black Phillip takes his true form as Satan.
ASMR devil.
Yeah, that part genuinely terrifies me because just the thought of like Satan himself is in there, and
you get the little
see a book.
You get the little chimes,
the
little wind chimes going, and like I love the shot too when it's the one goat leg and then it's the human leg, and you're like, because the whole movie you're like, you know, you're kind of like, is Black Phillip something more?
Yeah.
But obviously when you see it more and more, you start to pick up on a lot of things like the lyrics, specifically watching this movie with subtitles and being able to read the lyrics of the songs that the 2 twins are singing.
Yeah.
Like, right from the get-go, they're saying some pretty suspect things.
Yeah, like the very first song that they're singing, it's like, Black Phillip, king amongst men, we're here to serve you, or like something like that. I'm like, what?
And Thomason seems to be the only one that notices.
Yeah,
she's always like, fucking knock it off.
Yeah,
and the monitor's like, yeah, go ahead, sing your song.
There is a couple times where there's like one part where she's like shoveling the poop out of the pen, and then she like hears him and like actually looks up and looks over at him. They're like talking about Black Phillip having a crown on his head, killing lions. Like,
I think you just mentioned they call him King Phillip.
Yeah, there's just so
creepy.
There's so much to this movie as well. It's definitely a movie you can watch more than once, and you will still be finding new things.
The 4K looks amazing too.
Yeah, the 4K Blu-ray. Which, if you have a 4K player, it is an affordable 4K. It's like super cheap, like $15 or something. Mm-hmm. 100% worth it.
Nate, is this a perfect film?
I'm gonna say yes. Although there is no such thing as a perfect film.
I mean, yeah, it depends on what your definition is.
There's not a single thing in this movie that I can think of that I think of as a negative.
Right. Like every piece of dialogue, every scene, every sequence, every cinematography choice, like there's not one thing I look at and I can be like, yeah, they can improve that. Which maybe that's my fault as a critic, but I genuinely can't think of anything where I'm like, that could be better.
Yeah.
The only thing that I could ever think that may be a flaw in this movie is the boom in the shot. And I don't even ever notice it.
Here's my flaw of the movie.
Otherwise, narratively...
I think that was because of the 4K. I don't think it was visible at any other point.
Well, yeah, that's fine.
It's kind of like the Michael Myers thing with the 4K of Halloween 78. You see him standing in the doorway the whole time, and then it just randomly goes... I'm like, oh, that's the cue.
Yeah.
Where he's supposed to be visible.
Yeah, true. The Halloween 4K, you see Michael a lot. A lot more than you're supposed to. If I had a flaw of the movie, it's too short. I want more.
Yeah.
I
get behind that.
I think the length is perfect.
The length is great, and the story from beginning to end is perfect, and it starts well and it ends well, and it's a complete story. No hook for a sequel. No need for a sequel.
Oh God. Oh no.
Which is fine with me, but I would also love it if there was more. Just saying, because I'm greedy when it comes to movies I really enjoy.
I think my version, I mean, this is everyone's version of like, I really like this movie, hope they never make a sequel, but I still want more, is just when the director makes another movie. So
True.
I think The Lighthouse is going to like satisfy that need.
Yeah, very excited to see
Yeah.
The Lighthouse. Bucky, do you have any closing thoughts on The Witch?
Not really. Other than it's just I could just repeat what we just said 1,000 times. It's a great movie. There's no real flaws about it.
Yep.
Other than one technical slip because of a 4K upgrade.
Yeah. I would consider this a modern horror masterpiece. Take the modern out, I would just call this a masterpiece of film in general.
It's definitely comes with Out of the Basement's. If we did scores, it would be Out of the Basement's highest score, our highest level of recommendation.
Right.
This is one of our favorite movies.
But at the same time, it's definitely not for everyone.
That is true.
Because there is no boom booms.
Yeah, but maybe go into it with a little bit of an open mind.
Right.
The movie is a modern masterpiece. It is a masterpiece in general. Definitely one of my favorite films of all time. And I love talking about a movie that I actually like. It's always fun to talk about movies we actually like.
We don't hate everything.
That is true. A lot of people think we hate everything, and that's just because you're not watching our positive reviews. So there you go. What do you guys think of The Witch? Have you seen it? Let us know in the comments down below. Let's talk about The Witch. Are you excited for The Lighthouse like we are? That is our review of The Witch. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, don't forget to leave a like on this video. Subscribe if you're new. Ring that bell for notifications so you know when we are uploading next. Of course, we normally talk about Blu-rays, movies, action figures. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, definitely smash that subscribe button. Of course, I'm Nate. I've been joined with Justin.
See you guys later.
And Steven.
Take care.
And thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you next time on Out of the Basement.